Hello, we are live. It is freezing cold here in Kansas City. Um, Possibility of snow. So, what better to do than talk to my best friends about a true crime case? So, I'm here. Um, I know I don't announce these, and I'm so very sorry. It's kind of whenever I can do them, so I hope you guys are able to jump on. But if not, you can always go back and watch them and comment and like and subscribe, and that helps me out so much. Um, we have a crazy, crazy case today. It is one that it's a new case. I saw it on some internet thing, and I was like, I have to do this case. I started looking into it, and I was just upset. I was just mad. It just shook me to my core. It's a little shorter, but it's so, so good. So I'm so glad that you're here. I am so ready to talk about this case. But first, before we dive in, let me get my stuff here set up. I had somebody ask how I'm doing in a comment the other day. I'm doing good. Just trying to stay busy. Trying to do all of the Halloween things. Because that is my favorite. Just trying to stay busy, I do a lot at work, so getting on here and doing the true crime stuff is not happening as much, and I apologize for that. But I am taking my kid a lot to some events and doing the Halloween stuff, and cannot believe that it's Halloween already. I have a birthday coming up, so I've just been hanging out with family, taking care of myself, and just life. Life gets ya. But I am glad to be here. Glad to talk about this case with you guys. Have you been watching any scary movies? Because I filmed a video. Haven't gotten it edited yet. We'll see if I get it before Halloween. But I have been watching all of the horror. I watched Terrifier, which was okay. It was all right. I watched No One Can Hear You or something like that. The new Alien Hulu movie. So good. So good. 10 out of 10 recommend. I watched Haunting of Hill House, which was so good. And then, of course, The Fall of the House of Usher. We just got done with it last night. I cannot rave enough about how good the filming is, the acting is, the storytelling is, the incorporation of the original story. Like, it's so, so good. So if you have a chance, go and watch that. 10 out of 10, like, so, 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 so good. Love, love, love it. So I'm just here chilling with my pups. Let's talk some true crime. I know that the Vandersloot thing came out. I do know that case, but I don't know a ton about it. And I want to research it and do it sometime. But we all knew it was him. We all knew he was guilty. He just needed to confess. And the fact that he's waited so long, I mean, he's just a royal piece of garbage, to be honest. garbage. And we all know it. So that is happening. There's some things, local Kansas City things, that I want to do, but they're in kind of a lull. Like they're doing a lot of testing. They haven't come out with like results and stuff yet. So I'm working on that, but it's just in a lull. Like I said, I filmed something about some scary movies, but I haven't gotten around to editing it and publishing it, but we'll see. As far as true crime stuff goes, I'm just kind of going case by case. I haven't really gone back and like I was doing, like I had them stacked. Like I would research a case and already have it done weeks before filming. That is not happening at the moment. I'm just too busy. So I'm going case, film, publish, and it's a lot of work. So um, it's taking a lot more time. But I want to do quality over quantity here. I want you guys to get the best cases and the best research from me that we can. The case today, there wasn't a ton. I think there was a few articles about it. It's starting to get a little bit more popular, but it's still active, right? There's still things going on with it. So we'll see. But let's dive in. I don't have anybody join yet, but once you guys get to the story, I really think you're going to enjoy it. And I'm here regardless of if there's anybody in the live. I like doing the live formats because I get to chat with you. But regardless, this is a good way for me to tell the story and get it out there. So I'm just going to go ahead and go. If you need to go back and listen, go back and listen. Do what you need to do. I'm just happy that you're here. So my opening here is: a mother is desperate for answers after her son went missing. After months of looking, she finds out the truth. And this shocks me to my core, and it will do the same for you. This is the story of Dexter Wade. It's the night of March 5th, and Betterson Wade says goodbye to her middle child, 37-year-old Dexter. Dexter grew up in Jackson, Mississippi. He was described by his mother as a smart guy and a dreamer. He wanted to open his business of his own one day, doing what he loved, refurbishing old cars. Now, Dexter was not perfect, like us all. In his teenage years, he started hanging out with the wrong crowd, and it followed him into adulthood. Dexter served time for auto theft and armed robbery. But while in jail, his daughter still visited him. When he got out of prison, he was committed to being a good dad, and he really, really tried. As we know, the prison system is flawed. It takes you in and spits you out. And for Dexter, who was diagnosed with bipolar and schizophrenia, it was hard to fit into society. The way that Dexter coped was to stay at home and tried to keep himself busy. He did yard work, and he said that it said that he had helped the neighborhood by handing out food to the unhoused. This was a good guy just trying to get back on his feet, right? We're all flawed. We all do things we don't. That isn't the best, right? And we just try to get back. And especially with drug addiction, especially with mental health things, and jail and the system and all of that, getting back on your feet is not the easiest. You're going back into a society that doesn't want you, essentially. And you have to start over from square one. So this is where he was, right? So on March 5th at around 7:30, Dexter left his home with a friend. After a few days, his family started to worry. After waiting and hoping he would show up, they decided to go to the police to report him missing on March 14th. The family had had a hard time with law enforcement. This is a very poignant part in this case, okay? This is part of the reason they hesitated when reporting Dexter missing, is because they had a hard time with police and they were scared to go to police to report Dexter missing. In 2019, Dexter Wade's 62-year-old brother, George Robertson, was killed after police dragged him from his car and slammed him to the ground. Okay? Now we're going to talk about all of this, but the family is suing the police station, okay? The police and all of this for what had happened to George. So it is another layer to this case, right? But what we're going to talk about is the obvious here, right? The Wade family is Black, and the Black community has been battling police brutality for as long as we've been a country. And in recent years, police and the Black community and the tension has just been rising and rising and rising. Tensions are extremely high, and rightfully so, right? So this was a big part of the case. The family hesitated to call police because they didn't know what was going to happen. They had a Black family member missing, and they were like, we don't really know what would happen if we called police. Family members even told Dexter's mom, like, they're not going to do anything. Police aren't going to do anything. Just don't call. And they were right. But what ended up happening was beyond what anybody had thought, right? This was way more than what we expected. And the truth you'll see is just insane. But that's a big part of this case, is knowing why Dexter's family didn't go to police sooner, right? They weren't sure what was going to happen. They weren't sure how all of this was going to play out. So they hesitated, and I don't blame them at all for that. But it is a big part of this. When Dexter's mom finally called police to report him missing, an investigator did come to the house. She emailed 2 different times, this investigator, pictures of her son asking for updates. In the email she received back, the victim's name was spelled wrong. It was spelled Dester. Now, this could be a typo, right? But when you're thinking of a mom who just lost her son, who is missing, and she doesn't know what's going to happen, having the victim's name spelt wrong is a big slap in the face, right? And the family does all they can do, but like, come on, man. Like, it's a human decency to spell check before you send the wrong name. It's complete disrespect. And that to me, I was like, okay, they don't care. They don't care. The family seemed to be doing more investigating than the cops, which we see in a lot of cases, right? Especially with the Black community. They're out there, they're foot on the ground looking for this person, their family member, and the police are ignoring it. So the family searched abandoned houses. They tried all they can do to get his name out, his picture out to news, all of that, but it wasn't working the way that they needed it to. This happens so often with cases, and I feel like especially in the Black community, the media isn't interested, the investigators aren't interested, so the family ends up taking that case on, right? I can't imagine how it feels like to have a missing loved one and just be frankly ignored. It's really disrespectful. 172 days after Dexter went missing, Dexter's mother found out the truth. Just before 8 p.m. on March 5th, Dexter was walking across Interstate 55, a six-lane highway, when Jackson Police SUV, driven by an off-duty corporal, struck him in the southbound lanes. The coroner's office told NBC that they had identified Dexter Wade using a prescription bottle on March 8th and attempted to contact Betterson Wade before passing it along to police. They passed on her phone number and her address to police. So it is safe to say that the police knew that this body was Dexter, and they knew who his family was. They knew the whole history before he was ever reported missing. So keep that in mind, right? This is where it just gets like, I don't even know. Like, the fact that the corporal struck him is terrible. The fact that he was hit, the fact that he is dead, the fact that this man is dead because of this wreck. I mean, it's terrible. And that could have been an accident, right? But the steps that followed are just disrespectful. There's no excuse. I'm dumbfounded. I really, really am with this case. It makes me just furious. I'm sure you can tell. I'm shaking because it's so sad. It is just, I cannot believe this is happening in 2023. But let's get to the end of the case because there's a little bit more here. So the whole thing with them, the coroner's office identifying him, was through this pill bottle that was on him. They tried to contact Betterson, his mother, and the family, and had all of that. So according to the family, the police had her phone number and address. Some of the mix-up here was that there was an old phone number and an old address, and they couldn't get a hold of her, and it was this whole big thing, right? But at the same time, like, it shouldn't have gone on for as long as it did. That's for sure. And we'll get there. So a coroner followed up a month later after Dexter's death, and was told no family was located. So Dexter Wade was buried in a field for unclaimed bodies in July at plot 672. So let's rewind here a little bit, because this timeline, you're like, oh, well, maybe the family didn't know. Maybe the cops didn't know, da-da-da-da-da. Now, Betterson went to the police to say her son was missing on, let's back up here. What was it? March 14th. He was buried in July. So the cops knew already that he was missing. They already knew Betterson. They had already taken her report. They had already talked to her numerous times through email, numerous times. Someone showed up. She kept calling this whole time. The police knew. They knew. So Dexter was buried in a field for unclaimed bodies in July. All while his mother reported him missing, was in direct contact with investigators. So from March to July, his body was there and investigators knew. They had to have known. Yet they keep telling his mother no information was found. That's the thing. They knew, they had to have known, and still told her, we have no information. And told the coroner's office, oh, no one claimed him. They say it's a miscommunication. There's no way you didn't know. There's no way that they did not know. It just makes me so mad. Finally, in August, the police department told Betterson that her son was dead and where he was. They took her to the field for unclaimed bodies and gave her $250 to retrieve it and move it. When she asked why they didn't let her know sooner, they said there was no identification on him. Even though the coroner identified him with the pill bottle, and because Dexter was convicted felon at one time, they could have identified him through his fingerprints. Because that's the big thing. They are saying, oh, it was a mishap. We didn't know who this body was, which is BS. Because you, not only the coroner identified him, you could have done that to 100% ID him with his fingerprints because he was a convicted felon. You knew. And that's the thing that just really makes me angry in this case is this is someone's son. And they're like, oh, it was a communication error. Oh, it was a miscommunication. Like, F that. No. This is someone's son. This is someone's family members. And you can't even have the decency to tell them that they are deceased. It's wrong. It's wrong on so many levels. So now Betterson knows, the family knows. And here's a direct quote. The officer who struck Dexter Wade doesn't face any charges. And after an investigation into the case, the city found that although there was a miscommunication, there was no malice intent anywhere in this whole situation. And that is from Jackson Director of Communications, Melissa Faith Payne, and she told that to Forbes. The corporal who hit Dexter did call the report in, but he was not injured. He was not suspected of being under the influence, drugs, or alcohol. He was not given a field sobriety test, nor was he cited for any traffic violations. So they're saying it wasn't our fault. It was an accident. There was miscommunications. We have no fault in this. Dexter suffered severe injuries, including to his head. A toxicology report later noted that Dexter had PCP and methamphetamine in his system. Still doesn't. I mean, even though he had drugs in his system, that still does not. It does not take away the fact that you dropped the ball so harshly on this case. That's the thing. Like, if this was an accident, like let's say that he did have all of this in his system, it was a tragic accident, he was walking or he went out into the road even, and your corporal hit him. It's terrible. It's a terrible accident. Why all the cover up? Why all of the miscommunications that you went through to get us to this point? It's not fair. It's not just. It's terrible. The death was ruled accidental. The family wonders how he got to the highway so fast from when he left and thinks maybe someone gave him a ride there. They wonder if this is a way for law enforcement to get back at them for suing in the case of George. So I think the takeaway for me in this case is that this was just such a blatant act. Like, I know that they're saying there's miscommunication and all of that. Like, if this was truly an accident, you shouldn't have done all the things that led up to where we are. There shouldn't have been the miscommunication. There shouldn't have been what there is. And it's a dagger to the heart, honestly. It's so sad. And you see this interview, and you can feel how Betterson is just deflated. She went through everything that she did with her brother George. She's fighting for him, and now she has to fight for Dexter, who is an innocent bystander in all of this. People think that this was homicide. People think that maybe someone did kill him. I mean, what are the chances that this corporal hit him? You know, what are the chances that's an accident? And those things we might never know. But the fact that all of this happened the way that it did, it's heartbreaking and it's terrible. And I had to share it with you guys because I haven't found like a petition or anything like that, but I do think something needs to be done here. So if I find anything, I will definitely put it in the links below. But I want to call like I want to just call representatives in Mississippi and be like, something needs to happen here because this is just insane. This is a very, very sad case. Very, very sad. And the fact that it's just kind of been falling to the wayside, it feels like there's not a ton of people talking about it. Really just it's so sad. So sad. So that is my case for you today, guys. I know it was a little shorter, but the fact that it was shorter was good because I wanted to tell it and I wanted to get it out there. And so, yeah, I adore you guys. Thank you so much for showing up, commenting, subscribing, doing everything that you do. I truly appreciate it. I love this channel. I truly do. I put a lot of time. I put a lot of effort. I do this because I want to get these stories out there. Not because of anything. I'm doing this for the purest intentions, I guess is what I'm saying. And the fact that I have been sporadic and you guys have just stayed with me, I'm gonna cry. is amazing. Thank you. Thank you, because sometimes I need a mental health break. Sometimes I need to not talk about murder. Sometimes I need to take care of myself. And you guys have showed up even when I have been in my worst. And I appreciate every one of you for that. You guys have checked in on me more than some people I know in my real life. And I just can't thank you enough for that. Oh, it's been a hard road. I've gone through some pretty big ups and downs. But what I want to build here is a community of people who will reach out to each other, who will check up on each other. And so I just appreciate all of you so much. I didn't ever imagine that we would be this close to 1,000 followers, ever. I hoped and I prayed and I wished, but I never could imagine that it had grown the way that it has, and that I've met the people that I've met. That's the big thing. Like, you guys truly, you don't know what it means to me. So, I am going to sign off for today. I'm going to go cuddle with my puppies, and I hope and pray that you guys get to hear Dexter's story. Everybody struggles, right? Everybody has stuff that they're going through, and we need to care about individuals. So do something good for someone today, this week. Do something for each other and build each other up. And thank you so much for being here. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.